If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic and you need diabetic services, but you need to make your dollar stretch no further than the Maria Holder Diabetes Center. For vascular, podiatry and diabetic eye screening services or consultations with diabetes doctors and nurses, call 417-0305 today. The Maria Holder Diabetes Center, located in Warren, St. Michael. They can save your life and save you money. But members get 10% off.
A wonderful Q afternoon to everyone listening to 100.7 QFM. After you heard all of that news before, it's time for you to take a break and hear some healthy news. In the next 15 minutes you hear on 100.7 QFM, being brought to you with the compliments of the Barbados Diabetes Foundation, the Barbados Community Foundation, and the Maria Holder Diabetes Center. This is Peter Boyce here, and I know we're still in February, the month of love.
I still feeling the love.
And you are probably also getting ready for Q in the community tomorrow.
I got my dress done, Pico.
Because we all like to have fun, but in the midst of that fun, if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, don't get carried away and forget to look after yourself by taking yourself to the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, located up there in Warren, St. Michael, just behind Eunice Gibson Polyclinic. It is easy to find. If you feel you have, for example, bad circulation, you could go and get a vascular screening from there with the latest cutting-edge technology. You could also get your eye screened for diabetic retinopathy. That is something you should be doing on an annual basis once you are diabetic. And there are even more services that you can hear about in this time slot, so make sure and stay tuned. So I just mentioned Q in the community that is happening tomorrow, but you realize that the Diabetes Foundation was at Q in the community last week?
Why didn't I see them?
Yes, they was there. They had a booth set up and everything, giving away water and thing. You missed that? And while they were there, General Manager of the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, Miss Marsha White, had a conversation with one of the Q participants, Victor Morris. You know Victor? Let's hear GM Marsha talking to Victor.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Victor Moore.
Okay, and you're here?
I'm here to enjoy the festival, enjoy Q in the community. It's wonderful, and I'm glad to have you to educate us on diabetes.
Okay, and you were talking about plants and vegetables and...
I love plants. I love both flower garden and vegetables. So I would recommend to every family house, every person that bought a house, plant some cucumbers, carrots in a can. They will come in handy. You can cut them off and put them in your freezer. And that's possible. Every time you have a meal, eat something. Let it be lettuce.
I love that. Every time you have a meal, eat something green.
Yes, because it helps you. You don't have to be a vegetarian.
No.
You can eat rice, but a minimum amount, salt-free. No salt, minimum sugar. And you have to exercise, even if it's 15 minutes a day. And if you do all them things, you will get rid of the diabetes. But use it in moderation.
The sugar.
Sugar is the problem.
Yeah.
And you have to be disciplined. The word discipline, it don't happen overnight. So if you like sweet right, use a slice. All what is make you sick, don't use.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Thank you. I love that. I love that. I love that. Usually you should come and work at the center.
That was GM Marsha talking to Victor at Q in the community last week. You hear how Victor like growing vegetables and things and exercising? That is something we all should be doing. I wonder if Victor does eat cocoa. You like cocoa? There might be some people out there listening to QFM that might be wondering,
You know, I like to stir a piece of cocoa, and I like eating cocoa too, especially with a piece of saltfish. It is easy sweet. But what I would like to know is, I would like to ask Victoria Cox, dietitian with the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, if as a diabetic, if it's okay for me to eat cocoa.
This is Victoria.
Another Bajan delicacy, cocoa and saltfish or flying fish. As far as how these dishes kind of go with having or living with diabetes, In this instance, the cuckoo is going to be the starch or the carbohydrate. So whether it's cornmeal cuckoo or if you kind of veer off and do something like breadfruit cuckoo, either way, that is going to be a carbohydrate or a starch that digests into sugar and essentially will have an effect on blood sugar levels. So with this meal, I would say the most important thing is kind of portion control and balancing off with veg, because obviously what I've noticed is that a lot of times when people have, cuckoo and saltfish or some kind of fish, the cuckoo tends to be very much the main attraction, taking up almost majority of the plate, and then maybe there's some fish or fish gravy on top. And then if we're lucky, you might have a few pieces of cucumber on the side. So here we want to shift the proportions and take a notably smaller portion of cuckoo, have your fish there, and then definitely we want to increase the veg or tossed salad or something like that to go along with the meal, add some fiber and help with the reduction in terms of the portion of starch.
Thank you, Victoria Cox, registered dietitian at the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, where you can call 417-0305 and make an appointment with Victoria and get a meal plan that is specially tailored for you to help you to lose weight and be healthy. As we go into our Q song of the day, there might have some people out there that instead of saltfish, they might prefer to eat ram goat liver. Ew! So this song goes out for you. This is Ram Goat Liver by Pluto Cheverington with the compliments of the Maria Holder Diabetes Center.
Reach by the terminus, I feel the bus come to a halt. Well, the ram goes down by the roundabout, but just as if that could not suffice, I better run to the bus and start to shout. You should have dead make we buy a pound of rice. Ram good liver, good fi make manish water. Really good teeth, make the earring for your daughter. Very good lunch, put the bite in your back. It make your daughter, walk and talk.
The Maria Holder Diabetes Center.
Well, the news spread fast like a telegram. Nobody know where the good come from. We raise a pot and a pan from an iron man who sit down there all along. 2 twos and the pot a boil. I hit a yaman banana dip. Meanwhile, little waters a gone. Lick me goat and a take me sip. Ram good liver, good fi make manish water. Really good teeth, make the earring for your daughter. Very good lunch, put the bite in your back. It make your daughter walk and talk.
A brand new service which we can be proud of is now available at the Maria Holder Diabetes Center. Vascular or ABI screening. Who should get a vascular screening? Persons living with diabetes or persons who experience pain or burning sensation in their legs or toes, especially while they are resting. This is normally referred to as bad circulation. Book your vascular or ABI screening test today by calling the Maria Holder Diabetes Center 243-3937 to get more information and make an appointment. Board members get 10% off.
As we continue on the Maria Holder Diabetes Center Q radio show, we are almost at the end of...
Wait, you coming to the end? And you ain't talk about feet yet?
You're right, you know.
And you know that foot care is very important to diabetics.
True. So let's go to Dr. Diane Brathwaite and see if she can give us some foot talk.
I thought today that we talk a little bit about the foot. I wouldn't say necessarily always challenged, but I'm always intrigued by the diabetic foot because there's so much that goes on in it. And I think that there's so much that people don't actually realize. So remember that we have now expanded our services in the foot clinic, and I'm going to call this little tidbit that I give you on Saturdays, this is the Foot Corner. So welcome to the Foot Corner. We are a podiatry-led foot team. Our podiatrist is Louise Robinson. And then, of course, we have our nurses, Nurse White, Nurse Bissoon, and Nurse Bascom, who can help you with the queries, as well supported by your doctors, me, Dr. B, Dr. Lovell, and Dr. Clark. So I wanted to talk about common foot deformities because people don't think about this. People look at their feet and just assume, oh, that's just how I am. So first of all, you have something called hallux valgus, and this is when almost like the big toe or your first toe starts to bend inwards, and sometimes you get like a little bit of a bunion and that kind of stuff, and people think no problem at all. No, if you leave it untreated, the deviation can get kind of more and more, and it can actually cause a problem whereby you have crowding of the toes and then the toes overlapping each other. Another common deformity is something called a claw toe. Bend your finger like a little claw, and you can imagine what I mean. So that's abnormal bending, or what we call plantar flexion of the front part of the toe, also the back part as well of the toe. Then they have something called hammer toes, and this is when the bending becomes even more, and you'll find the toe literally almost like hits into the ground. We call that a hammer toe, and usually when it reaches this stage, the toe actually can become almost a little bit rigid and not straighten back out as easily. You will also find that the top of the toes will become what we call prominent, or they'll be like sticking up in the air, and we call that prominent metatarsal heads. And I'm saying all of these things because they're relevant, because what happens is when you put a foot with a deformity into a normal shoe, you're at an increased risk of getting callus, bruises, and ulcerations. And in its worst scenario, we're thinking about something called a Charcot foot or a rocker bottom foot, and that's when the foot actually loses some of its structure. So many of these things are due to nerve injury, which can happen over a period of time due to high blood sugars. It's also due to changes in the muscle and tendon structure that can happen in the foot. When you have diabetes, the higher sugars can cause stiffening in the tendons, and therefore you can have these kind of changes with very stiff shortened tendons pulling on the toes and pulling them into abnormal positions. And then you can also find that you're suddenly developing a high arch, and as we said with the Charcot foot, that's when you have severe nerve loss. You may actually find that the arch actually drops completely. The other thing that I like to remind people is that your foot as you age is not the same foot that you had when you were 25 in terms of its shape, its size, its structure. So always make sure that you have correct footwear. If you're unsure what that correct footwear should look like for you, or if you need extra support or extra padding, please contact us in the foot clinic. We'll be able to advise you as to what you need so that you make sure that you are bearing the weight properly through your foot and you're not generating high pressure areas. If you need information, please feel free to visit us and to have a foot assessment, and we'll give you the best advice that we can give you and point you in the right direction so that you can continue to take care of your feet regardless as to what is happening with them presently or what has happened in the past.
We now welcome a patient of the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, Mr. Paul Edwards.
I've been a patient of Maria Holder Diabetic Center for probably about 7 years now. To cut a long story short, I couldn't have done without them. Even when, the going was tough, Diane helped us with some, medicines and made sure that we all got, what we needed to keep going and, to control our diabetes. This facility is top notch. But the long and short of it is, Barbados for many, many years has been known, and sadly, I'm sure that this reputation is getting a lot better. Has always been known as the amputation capital of the world, which is really sad. But with the help of everybody that works at the Diabetic Center, I think we've kind of moved a little bit forward from that now, because you can get help, and I would advise anybody in Barbados who just thinks they may be a diabetic to go to the Diabetic Center. I have nothing but high praise for it.
If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic and listening to QFM right now, in 2025, Q stands for Quality Health Services at lower prices, which is what you will find at the Maria Holder Diabetes Center located in Warren, St. Michael. If you are looking for diabetic eye screening, vascular screening, podiatry, or nutritional advice, call 243-3937 or 417-0305 and make an appointment today. Don't miss next week when we will be dealing with more diabetic issues. Same Q time, same Q station. Compliments the Maria Holder Diabetes Center, the Barbados Diabetic Eye Screening Program, and the Barbados Community Foundation.
If you or your loved one is impacted by diabetes and have questions, the Barbados Diabetes Foundation has the answers.
It's always to reverse diabetes, certainly control it properly and avoid complications if you at least know that you have it.
But it's just again to re-emphasize the importance of good diabetic care. And diabetic care involves really almost every part of the body. So it's your feet, your heart. But again, we're coming back to what our main focus is at this time is the eye care.
The Maria Holder Diabetes Center, located in Warren, St. Michael, is your source of diabetic care. You can reach them by calling 243-EYES, 243-3937